For far too long now, video game franchises, and really even now, it's like the comic book genre of franchises, just have not been pleasing fans when it comes to movie and television adaptations. And the latest one that's coming out just in April, just in a few weeks, is Fallout. People were ecstatic when they found out that Amazon was going to be adapting one of the most beloved video game franchises out there, Fallout, into a TV show. And it now appears that, well, the director, the creator, the man behind this series says it would have been a fool's errand for the series to try and appeal to fans. What is going on with these people? Like, when they go out there to try and make something like this, what do you think you're making? Who do you think you're making it for? That's the question that I have for these creators, for these artists, for these filmmakers. So for those of you who don't know, the person who is making this is Christopher Nolan's brother, Jonathan Nolan. And he was talking about how he went forward and how he was trying to make this. This is coming from Bounding Into Comics. He says, he went about this. Here, I'll just read the quote here. He goes, "I don't think you can really set out to please the fans of anything," he opined, "or please anyone other than yourself. I think you have to come into this trying to make the show what you want to make, and trusting that with us, fans of the game, we would find the pieces that were essential to us and try to do the best version," he added. Okay. Here's the thing. Jonathan Nolan, he's done some pretty good things. He helped his brother with the Dark Knight trilogy. He did the Westworld series, which the first season was phenomenal. After that, I think it kind of went downhill. He has done some pretty amazing things, and he's adapted some pretty great IPs in the past. But there has been a huge issue, a huge disconnect when it comes to specifically video game IPs and being adapted into, whether it's movies or television, over the last 30 years. Another one that we've been seeing a lot of issues with, another one, is Halo. Now, this over on X, Commander Carl, he posts, "The Halo TV series is exactly what happens when a bunch of random jackoffs that likely never touched a Halo game make a TV show out of it. There's such a profound lack of understanding of the characters in this show. I don't know how anyone thought this series would be anything more than dog shit." And he kind of talks about this because there's this really, really interesting, interview that was had with the executive producer, Kiki Wolfkill, where she says she was concerned about keeping the Spartans out of their armor for so long during season 2, and she kind of goes into why she decided to do that. Now, the reason why I want to touch on this is because that has been kind of a big issue with this show thus far. So I want to talk, this is about a 2-minute clip, so I want to play this here because it is kind of disturbing, and you start to see where the disconnect with executives, with these filmmakers and Hollywood executives are with the games.
So was it a creative risk to take Chief out of the armor for the better part of 3 episodes?
Yeah, I mean, I will say that, that was something we talked a lot about, and I had a lot of concern around the Spartans and Chief in particular being out of the armor for so long. That said, part of what's so important to tell in this season is...
So first off, if you're not somebody who's played Halo before, you need to understand that Master Chief, he's the main character of Halo. He should be in the armor the entire time. In the entirety of the Halo franchise, we have never, in the video games, we have never truly seen John, Master Chief, Spartan 117 out of his armor ever. We've never seen him out of his armor. We've seen glimpses of, like his nose, the bridge of his nose, and maybe his chin or something like that. But we've never actually seen his body, out of the armor. Originally, the intention of that was to make it feel like the player was Master Chief. Now, originally back in season 1, when the first images started coming out and the first episode came out, and people were like, whoa, 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 why are we seeing Master Chief's face so much? And they kind of came out and they're like, well, to understand this, we have to really feel and understand who John is, who Master Chief is. So to really get into the character and understand who he is, we have to remove the mask. But then fans were like, that's complete bullshit. That's BS, because look at something like The Mandalorian. You take a look at Mandalorian, and he almost never removes his mask, his helmet, maybe a handful of times, not even a handful of times, maybe like 3 or 4 times in 3 seasons. And you feel the emotion, you feel connected to that character. So what was the reasoning behind it? The reasoning behind it is because they don't understand the lore, they don't understand the character, they don't understand the sandbox that they're playing in.
Is what is John's relationship to the Master Chief? And in some way,
that right there doesn't understand the lore. What is John's relationship with the Master Chief? He is the Master Chief. He is Spartan 117, Petty Officer, Master Chief. That is who he is. His relationship with himself is who he is. To sit there and say, we took him out of the armor for almost the entirety of season 2 to see what his relationship truly is with himself.
ways the armor is a representation of the Master Chief. And so what I think we've seen up through episode 7 is John reconciling who is the Master Chief to him.
Who is the Master Chief to Master Chief? Well, if you were a good storyteller, if you were a good writer, if you were somebody who understood how to write characters, well, you would understand that he's a warrior. He's a soldier. He is somebody who is going to fight for humanity. He's going to do what he has to do to save humanity. And within that story, just as they did in the games, in the books, in the lore that they had established for the last 20 years, yes, there is a story of humanity within him that is bubbling up, that he is discovering through his journey with a little AI called Cortana. Because he's not just some brain-dead super soldier. There is a little humanity that is blossoming because of the AI Cortana. And that is the beauty of the Halo franchise for the last 20 years. What they're trying to do is they're trying to rewrite what Halo is. But why? When they already have an excellent, fantastic way of telling the story. It makes no sense.
Understand who it is to the UNSC. We now understand what it is to Ackerson.
And then she sits there and says, we understand what it is to the UNSC. We understand what it is to Ackerson, who is a pawn, or maybe not a pawn, but a major chess piece in this game here. No, I've been watching the show since season 1. We don't really understand who Master Chief is to the UNSC because they've never explored it. They very, very briefly explored who the Spartans are to the UNSC. Very briefly. And honestly, they haven't really explored it very well because they've explored them more as, pawns, expendable pawns, more than like the knights that they truly are, the ones that they send out there when all hope is lost and they need to have that victory. That's who the Spartans have always been. They've only touched on that. And Ackerson, he's the one who, in this show, thinks the Spartan 2s are expendable. He has these Spartan 3s who he thinks are the saving grace. Spartan 2s are crap because he doesn't like Halsey. His Spartan 3s are better. But, again, the storytelling has just been bad because they don't understand the lore. And it gets back to what we're talking about here, how Jonathan Nolan, with Fallout, another video game franchise, when we take a look at Fallout, how he just doesn't understand, how he says we can't appease the fans, we can only appease ourselves and do what we want to do. You see how that's not the way that you do that. That's not how it works.
And what we wanted was for John to reclaim that armor and reclaim who the Master Chief is. Because the Master Chief is John. But
oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! So you take an entire season, 8 episodes. You take 8 episodes of a show to explain to us what should have been explained in the very first episode of the very first season, that John is Master Chief. Plain and simple. Master Chief is Master Chief. Master Chief is a super soldier who will fight for humanity and do everything he can to save humanity, because that is how he was built. That is how he was trained. That is what he fights for. So you're taking 2 seasons to explain that one little story because you don't understand what Halo is.
we see some different perspectives on that. And so while it felt risky to keep the armor off, and there were so many tactical challenges in going into battle with Sangheili without armor, and there's that part of you that just wants to see them kick ass in their armor. On the flip side,
there isn't a part of me that wants to see them in their armor kicking ass. There is all of me that wants to see Spartans in their armor kicking ass. Why? Because that's what Spartans are supposed to do. I know if you're a good storyteller, you're going to allow us and explain to us that they are augmented super soldiers who are badass outside of their armor, but because they have this Mjolnir armor, they are even more badass. That's what a good storyteller would do. The one thing I did, I read those early books, that first trilogy of books that came out that is in the Halo franchise. I read them when I was younger, and I thought they did an amazing job doing a flashback of sorts. And I think that's what they should have done with this television show, is they should have utilized flashbacks. They should have had some amazing scenes where, Master Chief and the Spartans are fighting, maybe fighting some rebels. They're doing some fighting, and, maybe they're sitting there at, around a campfire before a fight or something like that, and they start reminiscing about a tactic that they, a training session that they had as kids. And there's a little flashback. And that's where you start to see how these soldiers truly were trained in who they are as humans, and that they were actually humans. If that's what they were trying to do, that's how they should have handled it. That would have been a way of humanizing the characters and a way of showcasing who these characters are, how John became the leader that he is, without getting away from who Master Chief is. Because you could have been doing those 2 stories. You wouldn't have had to have the stupid story that we've had with the little kid being lost and the parents trying to find them, having stupid stories going. Look, I like the character Kai, but her story was not all that interesting this season. You've had some, I don't know, there's just been some really terrible decisions with this season and this series as a whole.
I loved seeing them kick ass without their armor, because you
Nobody
forget how
did.
extraordinary they are outside of the armor, with the augmented bodies and decades
and
of,
you could have shown that without
warfare.
all of this.
I loved seeing that part of them. But ultimately, it's about Chief reclaiming who the Master Chief is and reminding us that he is the Master Chief. And
you could have done that, like I said, through the flashbacks in some way. And you could have had a moment where, his team gets captured or is in danger in some form or fashion. And you could have done this all in season 1, where his team is captured or is in danger. And you have to have that moment where Master Chief has to go in, but there's a flashback and to a scene when he was younger. And you see, and it's that moment where it just correlates with each other, where he has to, in his training, it's him rising up and becoming the leader that he is, and he becomes his Master Chief. And it correlates with what is going on in the present, and he becomes the Master Chief in that moment back in the day when he's younger. And he saves his teammates, his friends, his whatever it is, soldier mates, whatever it is. But then he does it in the present as well. And all this time, you never have to take the armor off of them. You never have to lose what makes Halo Halo. I'm not going to play the rest of it because it's ridiculous. You can look at this thread here, this thread on X here, and you see this, like, people are just ripping into it because they just don't get it. They don't get it. And I was somebody who, during season 1, I did defend it. I was trying to defend it. I think I was in denial a little bit. I really do think I was in denial just a little bit. Just a little bit. But you sit there and you take a look at what these executives say, whether it's Fallout, whether it's Halo, whether it's what's going on in the comic book movie world. They just don't care about the fans. They don't. They just want to write what they want to write. We see what's going on with Sweet Baby Inc. with our video games. And we see what's going on when they try to adapt them into television shows or movies. They just don't care about the fans. They don't. And it's pathetic. It's pitiful. It's disgusting. But let me know what you guys think. I want to know what you think. What do you think of Halo so far? Are you looking forward to Fallout? It comes out in just a few weeks in April. Are you looking forward to it? Is that something that you're gonna jump into and watch? Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. With all that said, I'll catch you all later.